Ladies and gentlemen, while working on a full Coldheart weapon breakdown, video coming soon, I noticed something that piqued my interest. I'm not 100% sure if this is something that has been discussed in the past or is common knowledge at this point, but if I didn't pick up on it after using this weapon for, over 4 years? It's gotta be news to some of you. So I figured it would be worth relaying, or at least reinforcing the message. This is pertaining to Coldheart's ramping damage increase. Damage on this weapon increases as damage is sustained. So just looking at the body shots versus Carl, we're starting out at 1,180 points of damage, and after roughly 41 rounds expended, we see our first damage value register at 2,122, which is where the damage is going to cap out in this case. So a little under half of the magazine is spent before we can see the greatest benefits. Bungie was kind enough to give us a little bit of a grace period though. There's a brief window where if you slip off target or let off the trigger for just a moment, you can get back on target and not lose that increased damage. If you're someone who's used Coldheart for any amount of time, I'm probably not telling you anything new, but here's where things get a little more interesting. When firing, if you have yet to hit Coldheart's damage threshold, the damage will actually continue to increase during that grace period window. So it's more linked to time than actual shots landed. This we can use to our advantage. Instead of immediately laying on the trigger and dumping the magazine into a target, if we just tap in those first couple of shots, kinda like you were using the trace rifle whose name shall not be spoken, you can ramp up the damage in bigger chunks and need less rounds to hit the damage threshold by a fairly significant amount. In this instance, we see that max 2,122 damage tick roll on only the 11th round expended. Now, I'm going to have the precise numbers for you when the full weapon breakdown releases, but you can see the difference reflected in Carl's health bar. When just dumping the mag into Carl's body, he still has a little bit of health left on his second bar. When tapping up the max value and then letting the rest of the magazine rip, we do get into that third portion of the health bar by just a touch. Not exactly a huge damage increase, but we are just looking at body shot damage for simplicity's sake. The difference between the min and max on a body shot is about 930 points. You are going to see a better return on crits, where the damage difference comes in at 1,320. This does add up over the course of 101 rounds, but in either case, you are getting more bang for your buck, more mileage out of your ammo. If spending a few seconds to prime the weapon up isn't going to kill ya, why not take it? It is extra damage for just a little bit of patience. Another way this could be advantageous though, ionic trace generation. Coldheart will generate ionic traces when dealing damage when the weapon is ramped up to its maximum damage potential. Now if you just run up to an enemy and pour out the entire magazine, you're gonna see 2 traces, which is helpful but a bit disappointing as far as I'm concerned. If you want to use Coldheart as a tool to get your abilities off cooldown, just start tapping those shots in again. When doing this over the course of a full magazine, I was able to generate 5 ionic traces, and that was almost enough to take all of my abilities from pretty much empty to almost full. Warlocks with the Fallen Sunstar exotic can put this to better use, because of the improved energy gains when collecting a trace. After the third one, I was pretty much there, aside from the melee which just needed another sliver. Now, is this always going to be the correct play in every situation? Absolutely not. It does take an extended amount of time to tap off the full magazine. If you gotta deliver some damage like right now, don't do this. But it is a very nice way to allow Coldheart to supplement your ability uptimes. Anyway, I just thought this was interesting and worth sharing ahead of the full breakdown, so we didn't have to have this entire discussion in that video. If you did find it helpful, useful, or enjoyable though, like, share, subscribe, all are great ways of supporting the content and the channel, and it's always greatly appreciated. Comment down below if you have something to add, and follow Ironworker814 on Twitter if you'd like to keep tabs on me over there. And with all that being said, you guys are awesome, and I will catch you on the next one.